Okay, J.K. Rowling, you really need to figure out what you want these movies to be. Because while the film does have an interesting plot with a lot of political intrigue, and it feels kind of like a spy thriller, but with wizards, on the other hand, you have the plot about Newt and his fantastic beasts together and the creatures, so it feels like two very different movies. It's frustrating because there's a lot of tone shifts. On the one hand, there's a lot of fun fantasy, getting to explore Hogwarts, getting to see these creative and inventive creatures you haven't seen before that are really creatively designed. But on the other hand, there's corruption, conspiracy, murder, doom and gloom, and it doesn't work. The tone mesh just feels so weird. Although the casting in this movie was great, though. Mads Mikkelsen was really threatening and conniving as the villain, and you can kind of see why his followers would side with him, why he kind of get people over to his side. He's very good at having kind of a silver tongue, getting people over to his side. And Jude Law was great as young Dumbledore. He comes across as very wise and kind. Like, yeah, this feels like this could be a young Dumbledore. Like, he's very wise. He feels like this is somebody who will later become who we see in the other movies. So yeah, there's a lot of really good action, a lot of really exciting wizarding duels. But this movie really proves that Rowling is definitely a better novelist than she's a screenwriter, because she wrote the scripts to these movies, and they're not based off of books. It's not like someone took these books and then adapted them. Like, no, she wrote the scripts for these. Like, she screen wrote these. And it definitely feels like she's making it up as she goes along and doesn't really have a plan for where she wants these to go. It feels like two very different films. I still enjoyed the movie, but it was frustrating. And, you know, I want the franchise to be whimsical again, because the first Fantastic Beasts brought back the sense of fun and whimsy and fantasy because, you know, Goblet of Fire, Order of the Phoenix, Half-Blood Prince, Death Tales, those are all very dark. Those are about, you know, wizarding war, and there's torture, and there's murder, and there's all just awful, dark, doom and gloom stuff. And the Fantastic Beasts kind of brought it back to the fun and the whimsy of the first couple of movies. And now we're back to everything sucks, the government is evil, conspiracy, murder, deception. I'm just like, it's depressing. It went from being fun and whimsical again to like dark and doom and gloom. Just darn it, I want this franchise to be fun again. So yeah, it feels like two very different movies. I really wish it were more fun than it was. Rowling needs to do a course correction if they end up doing a fourth one. They were supposed to do 5 of these, but because of things that I don't want to get into regarding certain behind-the-scenes elements, they may not do any other ones. And they were smart because they probably knew that, because they left it open-ended enough that these could continue potentially. But at the same time, it has a satisfying enough ending for the most part that if this doesn't continue, all right. But if it does continue, Rowling really needs to figure out the tone. She really needs to figure out the story. She really needs to stop throwing everything but the kitchen sink into these movies. It's all right. I'd say unless you're a huge, die-hard Harry Potter fan, you can wait to stream it. Overall, I would say this is a B-, an 8 out of 10, and a 3.5 out of 5 stars.